So what ended up happening from January of 2007 all the way to April, that's what I was doing. I just began to dig deep in the Word, and God began to remove all the dirt and all those things from that relationship out of my heart, and He began to build me up without all the cute clothes, without the hair, without all that stuff. He made me so beautiful from the inside out, and He broke all of my chains and all those things. And so I said, you know what, I'm so excited. I don't need a guy. I'm not worrying about anything. God has got my back. And then next thing I know, April 2007, I'm in my room, I'm sitting there, and I begin to cough up blood out of nowhere. It was in the middle of the night. I wake up, I just coughed, and I coughed up a clot of blood. And I said, that is so weird. I just remember thinking, what is wrong with me? I'm never sick. I'm a very healthy person. And well, I went to church the next day, which was Easter Sunday, and the pastor said, tell your neighbor what you're thankful for. And I was like, man, I'm thankful that I'm not in the hospital, that I'm healthy and everything's well, because I just thought it was something random that had happened in the morning. Well, little did I know that within a week, I would be in the hospital for quite some time. What ended up happening is I went to the emergency room later on and found out that I had a mass in my left lung, and that I could not go to school anymore, that my parents had to come and pick me up from ORU and take me home and have this mass removed. So I had to call my parents, call my mom and dad. I was crying, they were crying. So you have to pick me up. I'm really sick. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with me. And I thought for sure, man, I've turned my life around. Why is this bad stuff happening to me? Why am I getting sick? But God had something in store that He was doing. So I go back to school, or I go back home to Dallas. I was in school in Oklahoma. My parents came and got me, and I ended up having a surgery on my lung, and they removed half of my left lung in order to get that mass out, and it turned out that that mass was cancer. It was malignant. And so I didn't even know, but I had cancer building in my body at that point. But they removed it, and I went home, and I began to, once again, just speak the word over myself and encourage myself in the Lord. And I really believe that that isolation season that I went through, where I was in my room by myself, not around a lot of people, just building myself up in the Word, is what helped me stay alive and what helped me walk in peace for the storm that was ahead that I didn't even know was coming. So as I'm home, recovering from my surgery and getting well, I start to get phone calls from random guys. Guess who started calling me? High school boyfriend started calling me. Hey, Mom, girl, I heard you're not feeling well. What happened, girl? What happened? You okay? You okay? Yeah, I'm cool, whatever. He's calling me, trying to holler at me, wanting to start a relationship again. Now, didn't you dump me back in high school? Where are you coming from? I don't even know what you're trying to do. This thing is over. You cut me off. We done, bro. I don't even know why I answered the phone. So he calls. Next, guess who else calls? College dude, the wolf in sheep's clothing. He starts calling. Hey, Emonne, man, I heard you're not feeling well. I'm praying for you, all this stuff. Nah, man. Then this other random guy from ORU starts calling. I promise there are amazing guys at ORU, but there were just a few that just weren't right. They just weren't, okay? I'm just going to be real. There's some girls that weren't right, too. We're just going to be real, okay? So this other guy starts calling me. He's like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? So let's talk, and he starts talking to me about just random stuff. And he's like, when you come back after you get better, I want to have you over at my apartment. I can make you some dinner. How many of y'all know that's inappropriate? Why am I going to your apartment alone? That's not the way it's supposed to be, right? So he's calling me. And then there was another guy that was calling me. And that guy's name is Stefan. Every time he called me, I felt so built up and uplifted. He would talk to me about the Word of God. We would actually read scriptures together. I never talked to a guy on the phone and read the Bible. Has anyone ever done that? Right? That just kind of shows you that brother you talking to, he might be a counterfeit, okay? So we're talking about the counterfeit and the real. So the three guys in the beginning, they're calling me, and they're just talking mess and trash, and every time I talked on the phone with them, I just felt like they had dumped trash on me, like something was just off. But every time I talked to this other guy, Stefan, I felt built up, I felt uplifted, I felt encouraged. And so we would continue to talk and talk and talk, and I just felt so good about it. I was like, you know what, he's going to be a really good friend of mine once I get well. And so one day, I was sitting at home just kind of feeling a little down because I was supposed to go on a missions trip to the Bahamas. How many of y'all know that was God's will? Bahamas missions trip, but I'll take it, okay? But I couldn't go because I got sick. And so I was feeling so low. I was like, man, all my friends are going on missions trips, and I can't even go because I'm sick. I had lost my voice from my surgery. I didn't even tell y'all that. I lost my voice. I lost my ability to walk, talk, eat. I had to relearn all of that stuff because my surgery was so in-depth, and they had to shut my body down to remove all that stuff. So I'm at home recovering, feeling low, and my mom said, you know what, Emonne? The Lord tells me that he wants you to know that you need to start preparing for your husband. What? I was like, I'm trying to get well. I'm not thinking about dating anymore. I'm done. I was so good with me and God. I was like, God has built me back up from the inside out. I'm not worrying about anybody. She said that, and she had to go on an errand. Next thing I know, there's a package outside my door, and guess who it's from? From Stefan. So I'm like, what is this? So I open up the package, rip it there, go through it, and there's a letter in a huge bag of my favorite chai tea. Anybody like chai? Chai tea lattes? Yes. Big Train chai is my favorite. Huge bag. And in this letter, he begins to tell me that he's sorry I'm not feeling well, and he hopes to see me, once I get back. And at the end of the letter, guess what he said? Love you forever and ever, Stefan Nathaniel Markland. I was like, what? Who says that? We're not even dating. I mean, we're just like talking on the phone like I thought we was cool, and now you're like, love you forever and ever? That's like something deep, right? You don't just say that to people. So I was kind of freaked out. So I showed my mom, and I showed my mom's friend. They're like, you need to kind of take this guy serious because it's obvious that he's very serious about you. So I went, and I took a little stroll in the mall, having fun, and I started to just talk to God and really try to gather my thoughts, like, what's going on? And so later that night, I talked to him on the phone, and I said, hey, I got your package. That was really nice. And he was like, oh, thanks. That's good. And I was just like, yeah, you said some interesting things in that letter. That was really, really interesting to me. And he said, oh, yeah, thanks. Never really said much. So we began to talk that night from about 10 p.m. all the way till 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, it's one of those phone calls. It was really cool, right? So guess what happened? We're talking from late night, and then next thing I know, as the sun began to rise up to bring in a new day, something started stirring in my heart. And I was like, And I feel that God began to reveal to me, he didn't necessarily say it, but he gave me a knowing that I was supposed to marry Stefan. And I was like, no way, no way. This is crazy. But it kept building and building and building in my heart. And so I was like on the phone with him, and I said, okay, all right, man, look here. I got something really serious I got to tell you. This is major serious. And if you know my husband, he has a very rambunctious laugh, okay? So we're talking, this is really serious. I got to tell you something. Next thing I know, he's all, ha, 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 ha. He's just laughing, and I'm like, why is he laughing? This is so serious. This is like God is speaking to me that, I'm supposed to marry you. So I said, this is serious. He says, ha, ha, ha. You know what? He says, does it mean that we're going to be friends for a long time? I was like, yes. He says, does it mean that we're going to maybe go out sometime and have some fun? I said, yes. He says, does it mean that I'm going to buy you a house and a car and take care of you for the rest of your life? And as I begin to drop tears from my face, I say, yes. And guess what he says? He said, you know what, Emonne? For the last 3 years, I have known that you would be my wife. And God revealed it to me. And I had to watch you talking to all those guys, and I had to hold in all my feelings because I didn't want to be the one to reveal to you that we were supposed to be married. I wanted God to reveal to you for yourself. And so I'm so happy to finally know that you know Because I've been knowing for 3 years, and I've been waiting for you to get the clue. So from that point on, I was like, well, what do we do from here? He's like, you gonna be my girlfriend. He was happy. He was ready to claim me right then and there. He's like, you my girlfriend right now. You my girlfriend. So I was like, okay. And this is the funny thing. My husband was a complete nerd. Listen to me. This man wore huge glasses, fat, chunky Skechers shoes, these weird capri. I know, y'all, I know. I had to upgrade him. I had to. You can't be standing with me looking like that. We got to look good together. Okay? Dude had these just weird clothes. And you know what I did? I allowed that outer appearance to block my vision from seeing that he was really the one for me. And I didn't see his inner heart until I got home from isolation, got sick, came home, quieted myself, talked to him on the phone without looking at all the nerdiness, and getting to know who he really was. And that's when God began to reveal that to me. And so I want you to know that it's not always going to be, you know, you're going to be attracted to your husband, but it's not always going to be the way you think. And I look at my husband today, you know, he came down a couple weeks from then and he proposed to me, which was I was like, whoa. He proposed to me. We ended up getting married April 26, 2009. We had our daughter April 25th, 2012. And you see how in April I got sick. And then 2 years later, April, I got married. And then 2 years later in April, I had my daughter. God has been so faithful to me. And I just want you to know that he has an awesome story, a beautiful love story for you as well. But it's up to you to wait on God's plan. Wait on God's timing. Don't always look by the outer appearance, but know that he has somebody so great for you that even if he may even seem like a nerd at first, I tell you what, sometimes it's the nerdy ones that are real cool. They'll really take care of you. And now I look at him, and I tell you, even his family has said, Stefan, you look so different. You just look so put together. And I just be standing there like, yeah, I know. Because I upgraded, okay? Right? I've had a great time with my husband. We were absolutely in love. And so I just want to encourage you with my story and let you know that God is able to write a beautiful love story for you. And you don't have to settle for a counterfeit, fake love. But you can experience the real love that God has for you. Amen?